Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Chad Esley and today I'm going to be demonstrating Adobe Medium. That is sculpting some cartoon characters and other things, some basics in what used to be Oculus Medium. So Adobe has purchased them. I had a lot of fears about this, that suddenly I would be seeing pop-ups saying subscribe now, pay monthly. But so far the update has been free and still available through the Oculus store. I'll be running it on a Windows mixed reality headset that is a Samsung Odyssey 1, which has a 90 hertz refresh rate, fairly good resolution, and it's been my kind of go-to for inside-out tracking. And it works really well with the Revive software, which you can find on GitHub. I'll try and place the link to that below, so you can run it through SteamVR, mixed reality. It doesn't matter, you don't have to have an Oculus headset. Which is kind of awesome. Maybe Adobe will open things up and support all of the headsets in the future. I really hope they do that. But for now, it's still on the Oculus store, so I kind of doubt it. But anyway, let's jump in. Here we go. Okay, so here we are in Oculus Medium. The first thing you see when you start the scene is you will probably see something like your avatar hands, and you'll see something like this. You'll actually see a couple of startling menus saying that don't position in front of you for some reason. Fix that, Adobe, if you can. But yeah, it's kind of a privacy warning, blah blah blah. Agree to our privacy terms, and then you can start sculpting. Choose whether you're left-handed or right-handed. I usually immediately, with my thumb on my on this little pad I have on my Windows mixed reality headset, I press down and I get to this menu and I go to user preferences, and then I turn off avatar hands and controller vibration. I can leave application sounds on, might bother you, you can turn it off, and that's about it. Usually I start with a mirror mode, and I find the center of my mirror by using the grip, which is on my trigger finger here. I don't know if you can see that with my on the grip button, and you can hold that and move it around. And now I've got, with mirror mode on, I can center this piece. If you want it absolutely centered when you begin a sculpt, you can press down, pull down on this little thumbstick here. I'm not sure what that would be on an actual Oculus controller, but I pull down and actually push up rather, and you'll get this radial menu. That's where you turn on mirror mode and your grid snap. So I'll turn on mirror mode and grid snap, and grid snap should place my sphere right in the center. And then I can, if I press down on this little pad right here, I can get another menu which sort of gives you various constraints and things. You can put single mode, which will allow you to put down one single piece of clay, and I usually turn steady stroke up a bit when I'm working and just make a sphere starting like that. Now I'm going to turn off grid snap, and I can pull down on this thumbstick to get this menu. So I can click up here, use the grab button and move this menu out a bit. I have to forgive the shakiness of my controllers. And I can click on the layer itself and increase the resolution. I usually do this about 5 times, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 times. And then I'm going to actually paint, pressing up on the left thumbstick, select paint, and I'm going to double click. Oops, sorry. I'm going to double click by pressing down on this little pad, double click, and change my paint size to be rather big, and then left click on this little pad on my right thumb pad here, and I'll get a color menu, and I can choose maybe there's a medium bluish color and roll that in to a nice medium blue. So I can then, when I sculpt, it should be that same color. It's actually white, so I can click, that's a left click on my right thumb, and choose this eyedropper and select that same color. Now when I sculpt, I can have that same shade. And I'm going to push down on my right thumb pad there and get that menu back and go to continuous mode. And if I double click on that thumb pad down, you'll see it change from green to red. And that means I can carve into this shape. So for my typical cartoon characters, I usually start with a couple of eyes. I don't know why I always start with eyes before I do. And I will then, actually, I'm going to modify the shape first. I'm going to move it using the move tool and double clicking to elastic mode, double clicking down on that right thumb pad. And I'm going to just move this up and out a little bit, just kind of create an abstract head shape. And maybe the back of the skull. Put that out a bit. You know that Medium is really working. I've got a Core i7 fairly fast machine, and you know Medium is really working with these with this geometry. When you see the little Medium logo pop up, it means it's calculating. So I'm going to then go back to my clay tool and cut a couple of eyes into this shape really quickly, maybe a little deeper. And that leaves a nice little ridge. If I start to see a little bit of like unevenness, I might even just increase the resolution one more time, and you can always decrease it later. But I'm going to just really make that sharp, so when I cut into it, it's a bit sharper. And then I'm going to go ahead and space that out a little bit more, and I'm going to add a new layer by pulling down on my right thumbstick. Add a new sculpt layer. And if I were wise, I'd be naming things. You can click on the layer. Okay, I'm going to actually rename the layer I just created, and I'm going to call it eyeballs. So E clear, EYEBALLS, and enter. And then I'm going to grab my clay and white. I can use any color. You can use yellow. Make this kind of a creature. And then drop this in 2 spheres in mirror mode, like so. I'm then going to increase the resolution of those by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just so I can then duplicate the layer. And then while I'm still in the scene graph mode, I can use my grip button on my right hand and click on that layer that I just duplicated and drag it out a little bit. You can see those black bounding boxes there. And I'm going to use my clay tool and double click down on the down pad here. Going to erase mode and just erase this stuff from the layer. And then I'm going to shrink this down and double clicking into clay mode again, into create again. I'm going to choose black I chose my palette by clicking left on my thumb pad there. And then I'm going to zoom in a bit and just place those just underneath the surface of my other layer. They've got a couple of eyeballs there, so already forming a nice comic character of some kind. I'm not going to merge these yet, but I'm going to just hold down on my left thumbstick and click on my head layer, and I'm going to go to clay mode, and you can just start to play around. Like if you want to give him a brow, kind of stick out eyebrows, you can start to paint that. Oops, using the same color, left thumbstick, and the eyedropper tool. So there we go, back to the same color, and sort of add in some shapes, and you can smooth them out. If you with your right thumb, push upward, go to that radial menu again, and choose smooth, and smooth out those brows I just added. And you can at this stage, sometimes I like to really start to play with the look of the face by using the move tool. And you can have it, if you're in the move tool and you press down on your little pad there with your thumb in the down direction, select active layer only or all layers. If I leave all layers on by using active layer selected off, and I choose here, I'm going to press with my trigger finger on my right hand, and at the same time I'm going to use the thumbstick and pull. You can sort of already see it morphing around, and if I pull down, it will actually shrink the eyes, or you can increase the scale of them. You can tilt them outward, so you really start to be able to play with the look of this guy right away. So actually I'm not going to change it that much. I think I'm going to drag it in a little bit and let go. You'll see it calculate for a moment or two. and maybe that the eyebrows, turning off mirror mode by pressing up on my right thumb, turning off mirror mode, so for a little asymmetry, grab this eyebrow and bring it down. It's going to squish the eyeball too. This is all very squishy looking. If I didn't want the eyeball to be affected, I would double click down on my right thumb on that pad and bring up, excuse me, no, I would click once, click active layer only, and then making sure I'm in elastic mode. There, now that's just affecting the head layer. That looks okay. I'm going to make this a little smaller and take this side, bring it back, maybe even a little outward. And now we'll work on a nose. And a lot of you are like professional sculptors. I'm a cartoonist. I don't know that much about anatomy. I've always faked it, so just bear with me. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to increase the resolution by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and somewhere about like that, and create my nose. I'm just going to create, I'm going to overdo it with this nose. I'm just going to create a big shape. Like so. And maybe using mirror mode now. I forgot to mention undo and redo. On my right hand, if you push this left, undo. If you push it right, redo. That's very easy and very handy. So far, no major hitches with the Adobe version of this software. They've done a pretty good job. I have not yet tried the freeze feature, which allows you to freeze something in place. I'm going to drill out some nostrils, turning off mirror mode. I'm going to drill out one here. Draw out another one here, and I'm going to smooth them out using the smooth tool. And I could drill back into that face as well. I'm going to leave it for now, but I'm going to use my move tool. I'm going to move the bottom of this nose up. And let's see, I have active layer only. Active layer only on. I do. Move that up like so. I might even move it in here on the sides a lot of it. And on this side, that looks like he has a broken nose. That's okay. Yeah, let's see here. That. And even if you don't have a good sense of sculpting, maybe this just gives you, or a cartoon sense necessarily, this might give you some tips on how to. Now I'm shrinking this down, the bridge of the nose down, by holding with my trigger finger on the right and pulling with the thumbstick down. It's just shrinking everything, giving him a little more space for him to be able to see around his big nose. And actually, let's see, I'm gonna just move this nose out and up a little bit. But yeah, even if you don't have a good sense of cartooniness or even realistic sculpture, you can do quite a lot with this software. When you start to see things in 3D and turn them around in front of you, things start to click and make a lot of sense. I'm going to give him a wart on his nose right there, just because that would look cool. And then, let's see, I'm going to carve away at his cheekbone. So pulling down on my left hand on the thumbstick, I'm then going to select with my trigger finger on the right, the skull, and I'm going to go to clay mode and turn on mirror mode and try to sculpt some cheekbones out here. So I'm actually going to carve it out. I'm going to go like this and carve that out a bit. Make a bit of a carved appearance, and even slimming down the side of his head a bit. And you kind of have to think about being the kind of sculptor who is taking stuff away from granite, like the olden days when you use Medium. And also think about using layers a lot to make creased shapes. Because if I wanted to add like lips onto this guy that didn't And I could just paint them onto the shape, but I might get a much more interesting shape if I add a layer and do those shapes in a layer and then merge into the clay. I forget, there's a really popular artist out there who kind of pioneered that technique. I'm giving him credit because I'm not remembering the name, but it is definitely a valid way to go. So here we go. There's a nice chin, maybe. And let's see here. If it helps you while you're doodling, definitely don't shy away from the paint tool. I like to use, rather than this spray paint tool, I like to use the sphere, which is the brush. You can actually stomp the entire color, but I'm just going to use the brush as it stands, and also that's pushing down on my right thumbstick while the paint tool is up. And I like to change the hardness of the paint down a bit and maybe opacity down a bit, and then just choose a color. I'm going to choose a darker blue, and I'm going to hit the whole bottom of his chin. That just gives it a little something. Even under the same darker blue under the eyebrows. Turning off mirror mode. Something like that. Just really subtle and gentle. And then maybe a bit of red on his nose, on the end of his nose, or purple, kind of light purple. And I didn't select his nose, the nose layer, so I'm going to undo what I just did and pull down on my left thumbstick and select the nose, and now I can paint. And I can even make that wart a bit more reddish and inflamed, like so. That looks okay to me. It can even take a little dark red and go back to the skull layer by pulling down on my left thumbstick and selecting the head with my right trigger finger, and then going in and just adding a little reddish around his inside of his eyes. And again, I'm a cartoonist, guys. This is the kind of stuff I do. Not sure if it will be really that useful to you, but there you have it. So a mouth. I'm going to select the skull layer, and you can actually, I sort of did something similar the last sculpt, but I'm going to not use mirror mode this time. I'm going to do kind of an off-center rubbing into that shape there. And I'm going to then use the smooth tool a little bit, and the inflate tool. And the inflate tool just to give him a bottom lip right there. Kind of this guy looking a little incredulous that he exists. Maybe cram some teeth in his mouth here after I smooth it a bit more. And I'm going to do that on another layer. So I'm going to add a sculpt layer. I'm going to increase the resolution by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of my lights just fell down. And yeah, and then I'm going to add, grab one of my favorite, my clay tool, and I'm going to, pushing down on my right thumb pad here, choose a different stamp. I love the pill tool, I don't know why. And if you press up on that little thumb pad, you can change the direction of this little thing you're holding. So if you ever want it to get back to the position you were first in, you can hold down that, press up on that thumb pad and reset the tool applicator, and it should snap back into position. So right now I like to hold it a little bit of an angle like this when I'm doing a tooth. Do a couple of semi-rounded teeth in here. 1, and a bigger one, 2, 3, 4. And I'm gonna do some bottom teeth in here, I guess, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's a cartoon, so he doesn't have very many teeth. I'm going to increase the resolution on those. And did it make them rounder? I don't think it really did, but that's sort of it. I'm not going to bother with ears on this guy, but I think I will paint the inside of his mouth a bit. And I'll use a sort of darker red. And we'll just, if you grab both of the grab buttons on your fingers down below under your controller, you can press them both and move your hands sort of to and fro like that, and increase or decrease the size of your model. I get a little tongue-tied when I'm modeling. My brain is so into this. Here we go. Spread that out. Just a back spray to give it a color in there. Actually, oh, that's my microphone. Do a lot of editing on this. And yeah, so yeah, there's a nice little interior of the map. And that is going to be my sculpt, I think, maybe, without too much more. Actually, I have to do one more thing. Reset my tool here. There we go. We'll get up here into the head. There's forehead. This just has to happen. Hopefully it will. I'll do a couple of veins, so you could even paint those, your paintbrush, and it'll get a nice reddish, purpley, kind of light purple. And get into the model really close. Make sure your sphere is only touching the top of that. Just lightly put some color down. Now you could get this model out, you could decimate it and get it into another program and do much finer texturing on it than I'm doing, but this is sort of quick and dirty. Comes out as vertex color, I believe. You can definitely get some good results pulling this into a program such as Marmoset and modeling it out that way. But there you go, sort of a really basic cartoon with no ears. I'm going to turn on my lathe, and there he is spinning around in all his Frankenstein-esque glory. So that's about it. I hope you found that tutorial useful. I hope that gave you a good idea of what you can do in Medium. I'll be trying to do some more of these sculpts in the future, some more complete sculpts, and you too can get a big red welt on your head from your VR headset like I have. So this is like second generation VR headset. This thing is huge. It is a beast. It looks good inside. I had to modify it with a strap on the top so that the weight rests here rather than on my forehead, but as you can see, it doesn't really stop the hurt. So I can't wear my headset that long. If you are the manufacturer of a really cool VR headset and you want somebody to review it and possibly get me into a new headset, I would be glad to check it out. Please pull me away from what I've got. At least lighten my, you can save my skull out there. That's about it. So stay tuned for other stuff. I've got 2D drawings I'll be doing and just general art madness. So hope you stay creative out there, and I hope you liked what you saw, and that's about it. Until next time.